Timo Arina es un emprendedor, autor y consultor que explora el rol de las tecnologías sociales en la interacción humana. Entre otros temas, nos hablará de uno muy interesante, el biohacking. Estamos conectados con Timo Arina, quien es, sin duda, un emprendedor del siglo XXI. Hola Timo, ¿cómo estás? Yo soy Ángela, ella es Beatriz.
Hello, I'm Teemu Arina, and I'm here in Helsinki, Finland. It's actually pretty dark outside and cold, so I prefer inside.
Pues aquí es mediodía.
Sí, son las 12 del mediodía.
Hace bastante calor.
I'm jealous of you.
Bien, bueno, primero necesito preguntarte algo porque cuando estuvimos investigando sobre ti, nos topamos con un tema que es completamente nuevo para nosotras y eso es el biohacking. ¿Cómo podrías describir el biohacking y cómo crees que podría impactar a una sociedad como la nuestra?
So biohacking is basically something where you take a very systemic view into your life. So you sleep, you exercise, you eat a specific diet. So those are things that are influencing your system. So then there are specific processes that happen, for example, specific metabolic processes. And then there are specific outputs, for example, in terms of increasing your performance or the way how things will impact your work that you do every day. So a biohacker is someone who is interested in optimizing one's performance, well-being, and health with the help of technological and biological tools and this systems thinking approach. And how does that benefit anyone specifically? Well, if you want to wake up every day and do your best work and enjoy doing what you do, keeping your system running in an optimal way, and also figuring out the way of how can you be the best version of yourself, you're going to enjoy life more and you're going to get more done as well.
¿Cuáles son algunos ejemplos de este biohacking del que nos estás hablando?
So biohacking doesn't really require any specific tools. What I have here is this is an EEG reader. So this is something that reads my brain waves. So it reads basically the electric signals coming from my brain. And those can be translated into understanding of your current state of concentration, for example. So imagine you have an application that tells you when the sound is high, you are not concentrated, you are not in a meditative state. And when the sound is low, you are in a more concentrated and meditative state. So now you have a sound and you can use this consciously. You become aware of it and you become aware of your different processes happening in your mind that will influence that. So you can actually learn to meditate or calm yourself down or manage stress in a very effective way. It's sort of like learning to drive a bicycle and you have these extra wheels. And once you can really drive bicycle, you can leave those off. So I don't really need these things anymore. So I can control my heartbeat, my current stress level by conscious thought. And I use this technology to specifically gain these abilities. But you can also use food and nutrition and so on. So I try to make sure that my body is well nourished every day. So breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that's when I try to make sure that I get the maximum number of nutrients per calorie. So in the morning, I eat a very diverse set of different plants and ingredients. I usually make a smoothie out of like 50 different ingredients, and that basically provides all the nutrients that my body needs. And what happens if you're malnourished and you don't have specific nutrients, your body will take it from your vital organs. 30% of world's population is iron deficient, for example, and the body will take the iron out of your liver, for example. If you're calcium deficient, it will take it out of your bones. And we all know what that can lead to. So you're weakening your system. So I want to keep myself as bulletproof and really kicking ass every day. So I try to make sure that I wake up every day with all the resources I can, both internally, mentally, as well as externally, that I can use.
Tengo un poco de curiosidad acerca de esto. Te ves muy joven y con todo esto del biohacking que nos estás hablando, ¿qué edad tienes?
I'm 32 now, so because of all the biohacking I've been doing, I'm basically becoming younger every day. So probably look like a 16-year-old now. So we'll see in a couple of years how I look. But anyway, so I mean, I'm a firm believer that you can reverse aging in specific aspects, but there are processes that you can't do much about. But you can definitely increase your lifespan by supporting your body, and those are evident on your skin and in the inflammation that you have. You know, if you look a little bit swollen and so on, you might have some low level inflammation. So once you take care of yourself, I mean, suddenly all of these kind of things go away. Your skin clears up and you become very youthful, and also your mental clarity will increase definitely. So you will be performing better every day, and you have less of these kind of ups and downs during the day. So I mean, I want to wake up every morning and have the best day ever.
Así que el biohacking no es necesariamente tecnológico, sino también muy humano y espiritual para ti.
If you consider like who were the ultimate biohackers, you look at any kind of religious traditional cultures or all around the world. You might look into Buddhist monks meditating somewhere on a mountain. You can look at martial artists somewhere, you know, perfecting a specific pose or posture. You can look at the yogi doing the same kind of activities. I think biohacking doesn't really require technology, but it's the fundamental understanding there that all life is connected and you are a network and you are connected to your environment in a very intricate way, and you can influence those connections to your benefit. So it's about becoming aware of your place in this world and using that to your advantage to live longer or perform better. And so, I mean, we need these kind of things that are in our surroundings, including food and social relationships and all of that, and movement. Major part of our brains are reserved for everything that happens with vision and movement. So the whole kind of body and mind connection is very essential. So if you want to improve also your cognitive skills, you may want to improve the connection between your body and mind. And you can play a violin, you know, you can play a piano, you can engage yourself in dance. But what I'm doing, I'm using technology to do similar things. So what I have here, for example, this is a transcranial electrostimulation device. So this runs an electric current of about 2 amperes through my frontal cortex, and it increases the blood flow in the frontal regions of the brain, and it will make, you know, me concentrate and be more attentive. It's been researched for treating things like depression, for example. So I mean, we are a biochemical mess, and you can influence the system in so many ways. This is an electric, very direct way of doing it.
Ahora que recuerdo, he leído algunos artículos sobre esto de personas que lo hacen como un proyecto hazlo tú mismo, pero mediante electrodos y diferentes baterías los modificaban y empezaban a experimentar con sus propios cuerpos para reducir el estrés y mejorar su desempeño. Así que, ¿este es un movimiento a nivel mundial?
I mean, it's still in its early phases. I mean, I'm an early adopter, and there is many other people who would be considered early adopters. I haven't taken, for example, implants. So some people put RFID chips on their bodies, or you can even put a magnet right here. And when you put a magnet under the skin in your hand, your nervous system will start to recognize after 4 or 5 months magnetic fields. So you can basically have this kind of X-Men skill or a Jedi skill. You go to a room and you can immediately say, you know, where the magnetic fields are. Is that useful? I don't know, but it's definitely interesting if you can increase, you know, or add a new kind of sense to your body. I haven't done that, but if you take anyone who's into sports or lifting heavy weights or whatever, those people are constantly looking for ways to perform better and perform better than their peers. So in a competitive sports, that's very important. Some of it is doping, some of it is something that doesn't show up in any tests. But in any case, I mean, I'm a knowledge worker, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have 2 companies that I run. Every day when I wake up, I have a lot of things on my to-do list. So I just want to get through that and still feel that I'm not burning out or be overstressed. So you can use some of these techniques in modern life as well.
Hablemos de tu visión del futuro. ¿Cómo piensas que se está convirtiendo el trabajo en el futuro? ¿Y cómo piensas que esto impactaría lo que hacemos en la red?
The work that we do today is very much immaterial. So we are working with immaterial objects and information, and it's not tangible. I mean, it's not physical objects. It's not like using our muscles that much anymore. And we are sitting way too much in front of our computers or in a classroom or wherever. So we have cars and all of these things that aid our movement in a way that we don't have to run in nature anymore as much as we used to. And that is a serious health risk. Our bodies are designed for movement. If you don't move, your lymphatic system is not circulating the lymph around your body. So you need a little bit of something happening all the time so that you keep on the liquids to flow around your body. And if you sit down, your metabolic processes basically go to almost a halt. So we need technology today, of course, for the things that we have, but maybe we need also new kinds of technologies that are waking us up, connecting us back to the nature and our true nature. So there might be Apple just brought out Apple Watch that tells you if you are sitting too much, that you need to stand up. So I find that quite tragic, but also like paradoxical, that in a way the technology that freed us so much time that we can have food 24 hours and all kinds of things delivered from services and products, to actually we need technology now to remind us that that's not necessarily healthy for you. And this is where quantified self as a movement is in a way going. So people are becoming aware of themselves with the help of technology. So technology can measure specific things, your stress level, or how much you've been standing or walking or sitting during the day. And you can use that number or you can use that information to your benefit.
Tengo una pregunta aquí que John me pidió que te hiciera, y es sobre el yo cuantificado. ¿Cómo se relaciona la noción del yo cuantificado con el trabajo del futuro?
So quantified self is, as Wired magazine originally in the article in July 2009, they defined that as living by numbers or gaining insight by numbers. So in a way, it's about making something that is a subjective experience. It makes that more objective. So you get a measurement sensor or a specific instrument gathering some biometrical data about your activities every day. And we can use that to improve things. So if you think of someone who's running, let's say 100 meters, if you have your time for that, you time that, you have something to improve on. So next time you run, you know if you are improving or not. If you don't have a number, you have only a sense of feeling. So I think in knowledge work, when we work with all these immaterial things, we don't have, necessarily any specific measurement or understanding what's going on. You can gain that perspective by using these kind of technologies that track what you do on computer and what track also your day-to-day activities, like activity trackers, these kind of wristbands that you see today. Those can be interesting tools also in the work that we do in the future to optimize our work week, for example, but also just to gain deeper understanding about ourselves and becoming aware of your own daily patterns.
Me gustaría preguntarte sobre tus emprendimientos. Cuando te contacté por primera vez, me diste un link para que pudieras separar una fecha para la entrevista y fue la primera vez que hice eso. Estaba sorprendida preguntándome cómo funcionaba eso y pensé que era algo innovador que aplicaste en tu negocio, y también entendí que en este sitio web llamado meetings.gs es uno de tus emprendimientos. ¿Podrías contarnos más sobre cómo se te ocurrió esta idea y cómo trabajaste en ella para que ahora fuese realidad?
So let me first explain why I'm doing something like this, like sending you this link. So many of us every week we are looking at our calendars. When am I available for someone? So someone is asking, when do you have time to meet? Then I look at my calendar, I send an email, then I get another email back, then we send emails. And this is an example of a routine that's totally unnecessary that we do over and over again every week. after week after week. So I try to eliminate, as a biohacker, some of these kind of totally useless activities and tasks from my daily life. And one of those is to look at my calendar or to send you times that when I'm available. So this technology, in a way, takes that piece out. It's my digital assistant in a way that knows my calendar and tells you when I'm available, and then you can book a time. And one way how I use it is that I have different slots for different days. So for example, on Monday, I'm running from a customer to another. So I basically put my suit on and I just go running around from one company to another. On Tuesdays, which is today, what I usually decide to do is I want to stay at home. I want to do teleconferences, online meetings, all of those back to back. So I've been here all day long, standing, doing these kind of meetings we are having right now. And I don't have to like switch context and start running to a meeting on another building, or things like this. So I like to make sure that also my days are structured around the context. So on Wednesdays, I usually I'm at the office. I'm available for my employees. On Thursdays, I'm at the office and people come to meet me over there. And Fridays, I try to keep totally free so that I don't have a lot of structured time. So I try to keep that for myself so I can choose what I want to do with that time. So I use these kind of tools as life management tools. It's not just managing your work anymore. It's about managing 24 hours in a way that makes sense. And what I just noticed years ago was that companies have a lot of meetings. The white collar workers can spend like a major part of their week in meetings. And the whole process is really badly designed. I mean, finding the time, exchanging the materials, keeping everyone up to date. Most of the time people go to meetings, they don't know what the meeting is all about, who's going to be there, what the decisions are going to be all about. So I think that's a waste of time. If we meet, there should be a very clear reason why we meet. And if the reason is that there is no reason, well, that's still an agenda. And if there is an outcome that we really understand what follows. If nothing follows, that's also one thing, but I want to make sure that every interaction becomes something tangible. And with meetings, meeting.js, we redesigned this process. And now we are also bringing out a new service called Swipe to Meet, swipetomeet.com. And that's going to be the world's fastest tool for finding a time for group meetings. So if you want to get together with friends or with 4 people from different companies, I just scheduled 10 people Christmas party. It took 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Imagine how long it normally takes to figure out 10 people a time in December, for a party when everyone's available. So I try to make our lives easier with technology.
Me gustaría ver eso siendo implementado aquí.
Considerando esta época del año, hablemos sobre los estudiantes y las personas que están terminando el colegio o acaban de terminar el colegio y de alguna manera están un poco perdidos. Bueno, tú sabes que nada está claro en ese momento, ¿no? ¿Qué piensas de estos jóvenes y qué piensas que ellos pueden hacer para integrarse mejor e incluso liderar la fuerza del trabajo biohackeada del futuro?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think the younger you start to become more aware of yourself and how you're connected to your environment and how your nervous system works and how you use that to your benefit, the better. I mean, I wish someone had taught me these skills when I was like 16 or something like this, which I look like now, but I'm 32. So I mean, that makes a big difference. When you are young, you are sort of like, I mean, you can eat whatever you like. It doesn't show. You can sleep very little. But when you age, when you become older, all things start to show up, and your body weakens and so on. So the earlier you learn these kind of like healthy behaviors and patterns, also that will show up in your career and in your cognitive capabilities. There's a lot of studies about the link of things, even like gut bacteria with your with depression and mental illness and so on. Sometimes things like that might be just some imbalances in your body, including the bacteria in your gut are producing some kind of chemicals that end up in your brain and mess it up. So you definitely want to become more holistically aware of your own processes and yourself. And this is what my mission is now. So I'm writing a book called Biohacker's Handbook. It's now available in Finland. We have over 10,000 readers. That's quite a lot in Finland. And we organize online meetings, webinars that are some of the largest webinars in Finland. There's a lot of people who find this information extremely useful for themselves. And now we are also working on the book in English. It's going to be available sometime next year in 2015.
Estaba a punto de preguntarte eso.
Sí, la verdad es que eso va a ser muy interesante.
Me aseguraré de conseguirlo de alguna manera, ya sea por Amazon o ponerlo en el Kindle.
Yeah, we are aiming to make it available on Amazon.com. So, but biohackerhandbook.com, biohackershandbook.com. That's going to be a landing page soon for our English readers, maybe when this program comes out. So if you go over there, sign up to our email list, you will then receive information when that becomes available. And in that book, we go through sleep, exercise, nutrition, your mind and your work, and how to upgrade those systems and yourself with technological and biological tools. And it's based on a mountain of research. So the nutrition chapter alone that we are working on right now is based on over 400 meta studies. So it's a lot of work that has gone into that book, and there's a lot of illustrations on every page, basically explaining how things work.
¿Piensas que la fuerza trabajadora del futuro necesita estar biohackeada a un cierto nivel?
That's a good question. I mean, if you think of societies in general, if you think of aboriginal societies, the indigenous societies and people, in those societies, the leaders of the tribe or the family were usually wise old men, and they knew everything about life, and they had some deeper understanding of what's going on, and they can heal also your mind and not just your body if you have problems with family or so on. Today's politicians, those guys, they know everything that's outside of themselves, but would you go to those people with your personal issues? I mean, they seem to be pretty empty containers sometimes, very stressed out, and sometimes they also flip out. So I think in our society, we need more of people who are sort of more content and more holistically aware of themselves, and are also good examples for others in terms of lifestyle, not just in terms of career. And the more people become aware of these kind of things, the less we will have the kind of trademark diseases we have for today's society: obesity, heart disease, and diabetes, and so on. Those diseases are a direct consequence of modern lifestyle and not really understanding the balance between nature, yourself, and your positional role in that whole ecosystem.
Bueno, creo que esta ha sido una entrevista muy interesante. Teemu, apreciamos mucho que hayas tomado un poco de tu tiempo para responder nuestras preguntas.
Sí, realmente ha sido una entrevista que me ha abierto los ojos, y la información que compartiste con nosotras es algo que nunca antes habíamos escuchado. Y bueno, muchas gracias por este momento tan iluminativo.
My pleasure. I mean, I'm always at your service.